Hi everybody, welcome to another video. And today I will be talking about the lower model and the upper model of the world in a very loose way. I've had a couple of clients actually who are students as well to Faster EFT Tactics training, and they were curious to know a little bit more about how they can go from what is called the lower model of the world to the upper model of the world. So in a nutshell, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the philosophy of Faster EFT, there is a concept that is called lower model and upper model of the world thinking. Basically what that means, and it's not just in the eutaptics or Faster EFT community, you can hear that this will reverberate as well, any personal development, motivational speaker kind of subject. So the lower model of the world basically says, I'm a victim. It's not my fault. It's never my fault. It's the other person's fault. It's it's my parent, it's my child, it's my colleague, it's my significant other or whatever. It's the world, it's the government, it's the president's fault, right? This is the lower model of the world, dictates and does not allow the individual to really transcend that aspect. The upper model of the world basically says, I take responsibility for my thoughts, my words, my actions, my reactions, right? My triggers. Even if I fall and I react negatively or aggressively or whatever that means, right, to you, I pull back and I take responsibility for that. That could be in the form of an apology, can be in a form of do whatever you need to do to also resolve conflict within yourself to gain peace. There's a lot more to these concepts, but just to give you a flavor of what that is for some of you who do not know. A lot of my clients who are also students in Faster EFT sort of ask the question, right? They catch themselves when they are in the lower model of the world and then gain or strive to achieve, like, no, let me pull back. I'm triggered right now, I'm pissed off, or I'm sad, or I feel down, or I feel offended, or whatever that may be. And instead of blaming the other person, I'm going to just pull back and do what I have to do to tap out. What does this remind me of? You're going to start asking yourself questions. How do I know that I'm triggered in a negative way? Right. And then you're going to sit with yourself and ask yourself maybe a few questions. And then you're going to find the reference of where that being offended or sad or depressed or whatever was. And then you're going to clear your mind from that. This is taking full responsibility, right? You're not going to try to push, force, coerce, manipulate other people to give you confirmation bias that you're right, even if you might be right. The idea is that we are constantly going sort of like a ladder to the from the lower to the upper model. Sometimes we're somewhere in the middle, sometimes we're closer to it, sometimes we can see it, sometimes we can't. Many times, and it's important to remember that our triggers most times come from the unconscious, and that's why sometimes it's difficult to catch when you're in the lower model of the world. And that's why many times it's good to have a friend or a colleague or somebody who walks the talk to be able to gently point out to you when you are living in the lower model of the world. It's okay to maybe vent a little bit and to get it out because you're trying to process. For example, I'm an out loud processor. I need sometimes a sounding board. I need to be able to sort of hear my own voice and feel it, because I'm also kinesthetic, feel where maybe there might be a caveat, because when I'm out of integrity, I actually can feel it in my body. So I have a gift of self-regulation. It might take me a day, it might take me a few hours, but I can feel it, right? And then I pull back and ask myself, what was I trying to do? What am I afraid of? So I ask myself these questions in order to bring myself back into self-responsibility, okay? Living in the upper model of the world is not something that's consistent. As you clean up your mind with Faster EFT, as you begin to unravel what's in your unconscious to the consciousness, and shift from that place into something of more consciousness, something that you can start controlling because you're aware of it, you're aware of your pattern, you're aware of your trigger, and you regulate, you do what you have to do in order to bring healing. then you'll be more consistent with living in the upper model. Another great thing about cleaning up your mind with faster EFT and changing those memories, those impediments that are holding you back from living the life you really want to live, is really being able to pull back and notice it, your awareness with the tapping. You will not have, as what the outer world would talk about, ego. You're less interested in being right. You're less interested in trying to make somebody else wrong, if that is your modus operandi, for example, or was a pattern. You're less interested in finding proof that the other person's wrong or that you're right, that kind of language. And it takes what it takes. You know, it might take you a day, it might take you a couple hours, you might be able to shift right away. There's no right or wrong. The important thing is that you persevere in striving to transcend your suffering and your blame shifting and your manipulation. That's one of the goals, right? In order to live. And the more you clean up your mind, the more you take responsibility for only your actions, because we can be extremely well-intentioned. We can be very helpful. It's happened to me many times where I'm coming from a place of my heart and trying to help someone, and then they use that against me. Well, that's not my responsibility. It's the way they interpret it or take it. I'm not responsible for that. I may apologize. I may say, okay, there's been a misunderstanding, but after that, I will not be allowed to be crucified or crucify myself because of a misunderstanding. So these are the ways you can test yourself if you're living in the upper model of the world or the lower model of the world. Okay. So my thing is really learn to start cleaning up. Don't be worried if you fall into the lower model. We all do. Okay, that's the thing. The goal is not to stop triggers. Okay, you won't stop. If any one of you out there knows how to never be triggered and are completely in the state of peace or, you know, whatever, without trying to sound sarcastic here, then let me know, because I don't know one person on the planet, rich, poor, famous or not, who doesn't get triggered or upset about something. This is completely natural and human. Okay. It also means that there's a piece or a nuance or something that needs to be changed and transformed. That's all it means. So don't be afraid of it. Don't run away from your trigger. Accept it for what it is. Allow yourself time to understand what that is. And we do that through the tapping. When you do live from a place of personal responsibility and accountability, pat yourself on the back, realize it, notice it when you do that, because that is just as important as noticing when you are triggered and then pull back. So applaud yourself in those situations and learn to start accepting these aspects of who you are. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful, and I will be chatting with all of you soon. You take care.